I'm going to say hello while you look for the boxes. So hello, we're here today to talk about an offering that we have to help you become more spiritually liberated from any old vows and contracts that are holding you back from being seen and valued and delivering your message to the world. And it's our Stardust Being Human series. So this is for light workers or healers, or even people who just feel like they've exhausted all the channels of self-development and trying to find out why their lives are not kind of moving forward, and they're ready to try something different and something that we think works on all layers. So I'm Trudy and I'm White Star Soul Guidance.
Yes, thank you for keeping up with me. I think this is our second live, so I think I turned off the volume. So if you're connecting with us for the first time, my name is
Second time.
Yeah, second time. My name is Alicia with my mom, Eva. We're both co-creatrixes of Christine Ascension, and I'm not too sure if you already introduced Marta as our beautiful soul guest here for
Hello, everyone.
All right.
Excellent. So now that we've got our first initial journey into YouTube on Crystalline Ascension's site, we wanted to talk to you today about our offering, because we've been doing a lot of work together. We kind of met because we had kind of skills that related to each other, but also we had similar problems. We were all deciding that doesn't matter how hard we were working, that our spiritual skills, or as our spiritual skills were getting stronger and more evolved, our ability to make money seemed to be going the other direction. And we were starting to think that, you know, there's so many stories about how spiritual skills don't make money, or how as healers we're meant to be like serving humanity. And many of us have memories of times where we've been involved with Atlantis and the fall of Atlantis, or where we were persecuted with a witch wound. You know, there's all this history around how we value our spiritual skills. And as value for me is on our 3D experience is related to money at the moment, then I know this is all changing, but this is the kind of balance that we have. Then the question was like, what can we do to improve our value so that we can improve our abundance? And that took us on this journey of spending quite a lot of time together, taking soul journeys to explore how, or what issues we could find that we could undo. And then we developed this star map. So places and things that we noticed we had in common, because there's three of us. So the great thing is we can compare and contrast and see what's common between us all. And then we created this group workshop, which is called Spiritual Liberation from Beating Yourself Up. So we were feeling that a lot of people are beating themselves up because they felt like they needed to be perfect, that they weren't good enough, that they needed to fit into society rather than society accepting them. So that's where the beating yourself bit comes into it. So I thought we'd introduce each of ourselves as our skill set, because even though we're working together, we actually all have three different skills. So my kind of main skill set is Seeker of Divine Intelligence. And the work that I do is helping people align with their soul mission and their soul path, and helping them discover who they are and helping them step up so they can be seen and heard and acknowledged and valued. So I'm helping people, for me, the soul mission is helping them understand their value and kind of like joining up the dots and showing them who they are, how amazing they are, and how multidimensional they are, and how to pull that together into their lives.
Yes, and for myself, I'm Seeker of Divine Architecture, but it goes more into that. It goes more into speaking all the different of the hidden languages of the unseen realms, where I can create internal encodings, templates, and architecture within your sacred temple of light, your body. So in order for you to be able to connect and communicate with those higher realms, the multidimensional realms, and also with each other. So I'm speaking in regards to a more connection or communication with yourself, with others, with the earth, with the cosmos, everything, in order for you to feel that you belong here, and in order for you to accelerate your soul ascension journey here on earth.
And I feel Seeker of Divine Encryptor. And this is where I help people to connect to the vitality of being a human, making a sacred space for your soul to live. My dream has always been to connect heaven on earth. And little did I know that it was really connecting spirituality within our human existence and expanding it and experiencing ourselves in the most optimal human existence that we possibly can.
And we have a guest with us today, which is Marta. And Marta's just been working on her soul mission. Do you want to say what your soul mission is at the moment, or your current understanding of it?
So I'm helping people making their own space and environment, so their home, are more aligned to who they are, and mostly is creative people.
Excellent. So we're all here today because we recently took Marta on a soul journey, and that was part of our Stardust Being Human spiritual liberation from beating yourself up. So when we developed this, it was I think it was like 2 of our sessions put together in a much more concise way once we decided where the frequencies that needed to be unwired. And these soul journeys are a bit like diffusing a bomb for us. It's kind of like pulling out certain wires, plugging in different frequencies, but also being aware that as a soul, we have to have certain soul lessons and experiences in order for us to evolve. So we don't want to undo that. And we don't want to force these changes on everybody because we have free will. So we decided, how can we put this together so that the souls that wanted to connect to this could take the journey, and other souls that weren't ready for it didn't have to have it forced on them. And we developed this. It started off as a 3-hour workshop, but now it's a 4.5-hour workshop. And it started off with us taking them into their past, looking for areas that they were possibly remembering their Atlantis story or their witch, being persecuted as a witch story, and unraveling all of this. Then we moved forward and we looked at some of the emotions that the human body might be holding regarding these historic experiences that the human had had, or the past lives that brought forward for you. And then we take you into the future to show you what your life could now look like now that these have been removed. So you can start weaving a new story for your life. So basically weaving a new soul mission. And Marta was one of the attendees that went through this process. So we're here today to ask her to offer us some insights on her experience through this.
Sure.
So when we started the process, we like to ask questions. And our first questions were things like, I'm just going to read them off here, but we asked, do you feel enslaved? Do you feel manipulated? Do you feel you're self-punishing? And this also counts as self-sabotage. Do you feel, or do you remember or have a feeling that you did something so wrong in the past that you're frightened of making mistakes in the present? And do you feel like you destroyed something so that anything that involves destruction is classed as something like really to be avoided, even though we know that we need that phoenix cycle of destruction and creation to work together for us to be effective? So they were kind of the questions we asked people. And I must admit, we didn't expect people to resonate with all of them. We thought maybe 1 or 2, but how was your experience of just answering those questions, Marta?
So I remember that using body testing and using percentages, I tested really high percentages for all of them, and especially being manipulated, but also destroying something. So that was quite high percentages for me. It was quite vivid, and the sense of I've done something wrong was quite strong for me.
And could you map that onto anything that had happened in this lifetime that made like the connection for you obvious as to what was going on?
I normally feel really like I have to do things perfect, otherwise I won't even start. So I get stuck most often. And being a perfectionist, it feels like a bit of a weight over the shoulders all the time, and that holds me back.
So can you pinpoint something like in your current life that was the cause of that, or was it never like, is it kind of like ethereal and never quite put your finger on it?
No, I know, you get these symptoms in your life or these things that manifest for you, but you don't know where they come from. So you have to go and dig deeper.
Cool. And I think if I go back to Alicia and Ava, then you guys also, this is how we came up with this list, because you guys resonated with this too, yes?
Yes, definitely. With even from the past life, but even in my present life, you still feel like that you were enslaved and being used for your energetic transmutation, or just being an energetic healer. Each and every day, you felt that that was being used by others all the time.
Right, and even with the destroyer, that was the part that really that was huge on mine when we were designing the destroyer aspect. Is you could so relate with it, right? And you could see where it was happening in your lifetime, and And it wasn't about taking it away. It was about nurturing it and moving forward. So it was quite enlightening. I love that part.
Yeah, there was a lot of reframing of things, you know, taking what we thought was negative and reforging them into new tools has kind of been the theme energetically that we're picking up on. But we also know that as more of our soul essence returns into our body as part of the ascension process, there's a lot of physical changes that are needed, and these templates that Alicia brings in to help our bodies anchor that energy in. And that was part of the experience for Marta as well. So when we were doing things like anchoring in some of these energies for you, Marta, how did that feel? Like, was that, the language must have been a bit strange the way we discussed it when we were talking about these templates and the battery packs and the various other bits coming in, but how did that feel to you? Even if you didn't necessarily connect to the words, how did it feel?
So I've got quite a strong visual aspect to my I don't know, to my seeing and to my visualizing. So I could see things moving around my body, and I could see lights and sparkles and colors, and it was really, really great. And I started to feel better.
So was it kind of like, was it a liberation feeling? Did you start feeling like you were breaking out of chains?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I actually physically saw in my visualization, I saw the chains being broken. I felt more empowered as well.
Excellent. So that was kind of our aim, because that was what we experienced when we did this too. So the kind of, it's a 3 hour, at the moment it was 3 hours when we did it with you guys, but we made it a bit longer to give some more time now. So it's going to be 4.5 hours. And we're going to be running this on December the 11th at 3 p.m. GMT and 10 a.m. EST, because we're in two different countries here. So we're inviting you guys to come along. If you like what we're talking about, if you're interested, then come and check out the, we can put a link, I think, under the video to the landing page, so you can read more about what this workshop's for. So that was the kind of like the past life unraveling, undoing, unwiring, like dismantling a bomb type bit. After that, then we came back to the present, and if you remember, there was some like movement that we were doing, because we like to bring movement into what we do as well. So how did that feel, like being in that meditative state and then bringing movement at the same time?
I definitely feel the movement is the best thing to anchor the feelings. It makes them feel more real, and it helps kind of manifesting what you're doing, makes it so much more real, for sure. The more you manifest it, I mean, the more you embody it, the more you manifest it, it kind of becomes your truth.
And the other thing that's so amazing about the three of us working together is we all believe in that embodiment and the physical movement. So I do a dancing with energy, and you guys have your crystalline touch. So the dancing with energy is movements and energetic, like playing with energies and bringing it into the body, and your crystalline touches.
Basically your sacred medicine with your hands, and that calling in that light and bringing it in and bringing it into your body. Yeah, totally.
So these are the kind of like embodiment techniques that we put hand in hand with the templates and the integration. So which bit of the overall process stood out to you, Marta? Because we've got those two bits so far, but we can go into the Divine Truth Temple next, which is where we were trying to anchor in, because even if we tell you you're spiritually liberated, you believing that is like the body then has to take that truth into the present and allow itself to digest it and assimilate it. So when we took you through that temple, was there anything, like at this point now, was there anything coming up for you that you kind of was noticing was working better for you or not? So we've done a bit of movement, we've been to the past, we're now starting to integrate a truth.
Definitely, yes. So when we went to the future, I saw my future self being a bit more, definitely more present, full of life and joy, and ready to take action. So definitely a different person.
So as you were going through the process, I guess you were kind of like processing it and list, because it's I think the second time you do it, because we offer a special offer that when you've done it once, we offer 50% when you do it again. When you come back and do it again, you'll probably then be able to tune into it more, because there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And you might pick up more bits, but your biggest memory of the whole process is that future life at the end. That's cool.
Yeah.
So we take people, after we've been through the truth temple and integrated the truth, we take you into your like a life path temple, and we kind of like weave this truth into your career, into your relationships, into what you're doing, into your mission. And then we take you into the future so you can see the result, because we want to be able to embody it and take action. So we take you there to bring back an action step to do. So it's really good that that was the one that, because even if you remember nothing else, like one lady was asleep, then at least you've got the very end when you're processing all this, you know that feeling at the end and you can feel the difference. Excellent.
Absolutely.
So we all do future life ourselves, and we've been on many soul journeys to our future, to our past, to other dimensions. And what does that mean for us, Alicia? How like, what do you find the benefits of us doing that? Just of any of our soul journeys, really, you know, like when we go into our soul journeys, what would you like, if you were telling others that why they need to do a soul journey with us, what advantage would you offer?
Oh, definitely for like that soul to soul connection and expansion in this reality, and bringing in that multidimensional aspects and realities, and bringing it down more and more and anchoring it more and more into your body. So then that way you can fully express and experience your highest potential self, or your highest authentic self, your highest abundant self here in this reality. So I would say for me.
Actually, that's a good point, because when we go to the future, we meet the future self as another being and we bond with them. And I suppose that's where that kind of soul to soul language really starts to show up, doesn't it? Because we might not understand how to do that with other humans in our lives, but at that point is the first time we start experiencing this very etheric connection between an energetic version of ourselves and sharing energy with that version of ourselves. So yeah, that's nice. How about you, Ava?
Yeah, for the future self, I feel we are really unique here. And it's just the immense clarity and the imagination that unfolds, and it's not just the imagination, and it's almost like you're embodying it in your future self already, like you're becoming a part of it. So yeah, that's what it was for me.
But I remember you kind of like when we were getting to the end and they'd taken it, what did you say about, like, you saw them all gathering and
cosmic champagne. It was a celebration. Yeah. It was definitely a celebration.
So as we were kind of celebrating, yeah, that's what you said. It's like, I could see everybody celebrating, and there's cosmic champagne, and we went, "Ooh, what's cosmic champagne? We want some of that." But it's interesting, each time we do this as well, the journeys change a little bit. So it's like, I think the hardest thing for us is like, oh, there's this, oh, there's that. Oh, how do we fit that into the time frame? Which is why this probably is going to expand into a 2-day workshop, and it's going to be so powerful and so life-changing that we're going to obviously be putting the prices up. So it's another good reason to join us right now, is that we're selling it at the moment as an early bird till the end of November for £111. But after that is 144 for the end of this 2022. But next year, when we move into 2023, when we've polished it more and we've added on the extra, because each week we go carry on our soul journeys, we keep coming up with new aspects that we can add in, and we put in the concise shortened version. We take the time to really dig down, go through all the holes, all the loops, and we say that didn't work, that's a dead end, that one's the route. And it's like we've built these star maps. It's almost like a maze, I guess, isn't it? We go down all the avenues, come back round a few times, do a couple of leaps over the fences, and then we go, oh, so where are we now? Oh yes, let's go and mark the path that worked. And we go down and drop the breadcrumbs, and then we got the structure that we need to do this for others and take them on that journey too. So Marta, what would you say was your overall experience of this journey?
It was amazing. I felt really empowered at the end. I felt like I could do things, and I wouldn't like hold back. I will take more risks, and I wouldn't want to be a perfectionist like before. So I'm a bit more flexible, not as sort of rigid as before.
And have you had any downloads with new skills? Because that's pretty amazing with that, but is there any extra new insights? Are you finding yourself kind of like your spirituality, your 5D skills coming through a little bit more now?
Yeah, I'm definitely enjoying connecting with my soul tribe. So that's an ongoing conversation, and I call them in like pretty much all the time, at least once a day now. I know there's quite a nice bond there. And I remember the other day I went to a wedding and I was dancing, and I wanted them to join me. So, I cooled them down. You never know.
Love that. Oh.
Definitely. That's the whole point of dancing with energy, soul guides, other beings, future versions of yourself, party with them all. Yeah. Maybe that's what maybe that's the end of our session now, is we will create the party and the cosmic champagne, like Ava said. We've got extra time now. Maybe we can have that little party at the end, a bit of a boogie, and really embody that energy. And so I think, see, this is the problem. Like, all these ideas, we've got new bits to add in already. So, like I said, the interesting thing for us was the feeling enslaved, manipulated, punishing yourself, doing something wrong, and destroying. And those numbers kind of came down from 90s right down to like single digits, which was pretty amazing. And I think they came down a bit more as time went on. But to give you an idea of the kind of places where this shows up in your life, I've got my list here. So these were kind of like the core wounds that we've mapped it back to. But the way it was showing up for others is, and you guys can just let us know if you agree with these points as we go. So I am overcompensating, trying to pay back a debt. So feeling that we owe something, that like we have to give more of ourselves to pay back this debt. Yeah, we all had that one, didn't we? Mm-hmm. I'm not recognized as being valuable with other members of the community, even though we see other people providing the same thing and getting their value recognized and acknowledged. We're not feeling that ourselves. We're not feeling good enough. So we're being a perfectionist, trying to work harder and to avoid mistakes, so we feel good enough. And also, generally, we feel like we have to have qualifications, or we have to be seen in a certain way because we don't feel valued for just being ourselves. And this can show up even with our abilities, like things that we do for our family and our friends, not necessarily showing up, or at least not being recognized, or it becomes like an expectation that we're there to do it, as opposed to an appreciation of what we've done. And this kind of leads to us being taken advantage of quite a lot. And then that makes us feel like we're here to selflessly serve others, like we don't exist as such, that we're some sort of angel that's here just to serve humanity and not be supported in our own lives. And of course, we're here having a human experience, so we need that support, we need the resources, and we need money to put food in the fridge. So it's getting that balance that we move out of that sort of that spirit might have used to do in its non-embodied form, and to start bringing in this new soul mission of, this is heaven on earth. That means we have the spiritual senses and the human, and the two work together, creating abundance in our lives. And we might have noticed things like there were situations that we felt that we always had to know the answer to, that there was never a situation that we could just walk away and go, well, actually, I don't know anything about that. Even if we knew nothing about it, we feel like we had to try and help and try and fix and try and find a solution and make people feel more comfortable, at the expense of our time and effort, of course. And that also then led into feeling responsible to get things right on our own without asking anyone else to help us. So those were the kind of the sort of how they show up in our current life. So even though being manipulated or enslaved and all these other things might not make sense on their own, maybe some of those other ones make more sense to you. But interesting, again, even on those levels, you guys scored highly and got them back down to single numbers.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend, Marta, to others that are considering doing this workshop?
I would definitely say it's worth it. And I felt really supported from all three ladies, to be honest, because each of them have their own specialties. So you feel supported in every bit of the workshop, and it feels like you're held by the hand, and at the end you feel like totally renewed.
Excellent. And I think you said cosmic surgery, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
because we're like, oh, we like
it felt like that.
Mm-hmm.
It was quite magical. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. So Ava, which would you say was your favorite part of the whole process? Like, which bit do you enjoy doing the most?
Oh my goodness. For me, was the destroyer. It was just something about that was just so powerful that allowed you to go to the next step. But it
converting the destroyer, and like, yeah, we marry the destroyer and the creatrix, and we put them in a union and say, you guys work together. That is a good, powerful message. Excellent. And in your weaving work, when you're weaving for this particular workshop, what is there any challenges that you have in this particular weaving, or is it just natural to you on what's happening?
I think it comes naturally. You just tune in, you just be present, and it just comes naturally.
And it's kind of like you're seeing, because obviously this is a group work, so we're limiting it to 21 people because we have to hold the space. We create a sacred trine wave to do it. But it's also good to notice that we tune in individually to people, because one of Ava's jobs is to, you describe this better, you describe it like a little water, like a water flow, and you kind of like alter it for each person to kind of drip down into them, don't you?
Yeah, it's hard to explain because, like you said, each individual would be different, but it is just that one drop of water. That's all you need in order to weave so much wisdom and knowledge and everything inside of your body. Yeah.
And as an encryptor, it's kind of your role to, it's like, I always, like when you first described, I always see it like a game with like lots of pathways and lots of gates. And you look at that person, you go, okay, open that gate, open that gate, open that gate, create the drop. You, that gate, drop. And then that's the way I kind of visualize it after you described it to me. And that's how we ensure each person gets exactly the higher consciousness upgrades that are aligned to them at that time and their soul. And that's the kind of what the encryption is sometimes. It's like aligning that high energy and that physical energy and bringing it down. And like the battery pack, I always liked your crystal battery pack that you put on the human body to help anchor in those energies, to make sure that we can now learn. Because in some of the stories we've seen, we could see that we were not allowed to hold on to our own energies. We had to give it over to others. And therefore we became like a loop, part of a loop rather than a storage of our own. And Ava puts a battery on us all so we can now hold our own energy and generate for ourselves, which is super cool as well. And how about you, Alicia, in your encryption and your architecture and your soul communication?
Yeah, I guess it's very similar. I think for myself, I do really love the Truth Temple because that is the spot or that place, that sacred place where we get to connect with that temple space and really bring everything into the body. And I think that's so important nowadays because everything that you can do in the ethers happens in the ethers, but really bringing it down into the body is totally different in creating that architectural seed and dark architecture template to fit into the body for that light to be able to flow into the body. That would be my favorite part. But I feel that for myself is what I do, or it comes very naturally for me that I think we've spoke about this before. It's almost like I can create multiple Alicias and all of a sudden one goes to that soul, next one. And each of one of my aspects or each one of my souls know exactly what architecture that specific person needs without me having to, like I'm putting my intention and focus in there, but for some reason I can see multiple views at the same time of what is yes and what's no. And if not, there's that trust and surrender that another higher aspect of me or another aspect of me knows exactly what I'm doing and what our intention is for that beautiful soul. So
that's beautiful. No, that's beautiful. So it's kind of hard sometimes because we forget about all the things that we've done in the behind the scenes of this, and we're trying to summarize it to help other people connect to it. But there's so much that we've done behind it. And I think, like, even when we're working, like, some people might think there's three of us, therefore it must be like Ava does her bit, Alicia does her bit, Trudy does her bit. But it's actually, we're all working together all the time. If anything, I tend to be like the project manager. So I kind of keep the stages going, check in that the structures are there for the temples for us to move through. And then Ava and Alicia help then start bringing down the individual soul frequencies into that structure. And then we sort of tune in with each other. So we can be just chatting away 1 minute, and then suddenly Ava might say, oh, I see. And Alicia will say, I'll see this. And I'll go, oh, yeah, that's what I thought that was. And then what do we need to do with it? How do we handle this? So it's a dynamic, even though it's a structured approach, it's also a dynamic approach that we're reading the souls in our group and working with them too. So I kind of hope each person has their individual experience of this, but knowing that behind the scenes, the three of us are working to keep that uniqueness, but only for 21 souls. I don't think we're ready to take the numbers up yet. We can hold that space. We know we're strong enough to hold that space. So if you guys want to take up one of those 21 spaces and join us, and as I say, anchor in this amazing opportunity to redo, anytime you redo this particular Beating Yourself Up, Spiritual Liberation from Beating Yourself Up workshop for £55 for the rest of next year, then yeah, please do get a ticket. We'll put the link in the description for you to go to the landing page and see what, to read more details about it. And then the payment link is on Eventbrite. So remind you again, it's on December the 11th, it's a Sunday at 3 p.m. GMT and 10 a.m. EST. And it's 4.5 hours. So hopefully we can see you then. So ladies, any other last words?
No, I think that's beautifully said. And I wanted to add maybe more about the 21 souls. I do feel that with 21 souls, that allows us that intimate, deeper soul to soul connection with them and getting really intuitive and really connecting from our aspect to that soul. It helps us, it creates a more meaningful experience, I do feel, with the.
Oh yeah, because we have breakout rooms so that because even though there's 21 souls, we can't all share our experiences in one group. So we've split into groups with each of us so that we can get through, everybody can get a chance to explain what's happened to them. And then we can come back then to the main group and carry on the journey. So yeah, I forgot about that bit. Well remembered. Like I said, we've thought of so much to make this the most magical experience it can possibly be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think the only thing I haven't mentioned yet then is the abundance part of this and how this relates into abundance, because this workshop was born out of the fact that we wanted to be able to walk our soul paths, which was aligned with our spiritual gifts and our spiritual mission, and also create heaven on earth, which is creating the abundance and the resources for us to have the human experience that we think we are meant to be learning to live as this soul embodied in a human physicality. And bringing those together, we need some sort of abundance to pay the bills and to pay us. And I think for us, even though we've got each of our own individual work, like we work in different areas on embodiment and soul to soul and the soul missions, we felt that this was the one thing in common to all of our work, that would just kind of like open up the gate to somebody, take them in and sort of just take away all this baggage around them so they could step more quickly into our programs, into our memberships, into our one-to-one packages, and be guided to get more quickly onto the thing that they were trying to solve. So that also includes being able to make money and being able to connect to your value. So doing this workshop, I think, is mandatory if you want to increase your value and be seen and start getting out there and earning some money. It's there's going to be a couple of others in the series because receiving was the next one, but this is one of the first ones that we were guided to offer. So I think that's the end of us for today. That was more than we expected, actually. And thank you for anybody that's watching or is joining us or watching us on the replay. And thank you so much, Marta, for sharing it.
Thank you so much.
And this is her first YouTube live as well. So being seen, standing up there, being seen and being brave and bold. Perfect. So I think that's time to say good night to everyone. And hopefully see you or get in touch with either of us. Messages, again, everything's in the comments and the description. Get in touch if you're interested in what we're offering. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye for now.